In recent times, we've witnessed passionate discussions, tensions, and heated debates surrounding the religious affiliation of political parties' candidates. While some have argued that a joint Muslim ticket by any party has the potential of raising apprehension in the country, already divided along religious and ethnic cleavages, others feel it's too much ado about nothing, as what that matters the most is that Nigeria needs leaders of competence, compassion, and commitment to overcome its challenges. With us to take a critical look at this fate ticket is a legal practitioner, a public affairs commentator, and a member of a chieftain of the ruling APC. We have Barrister Daniel Bwala. It's a pleasure to have you on Sahara TV, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Now, let's take a deep dive into this, Barrister. What do you think about this faith-based presidential ticket? For example, the Muslim presidential ticket of the APC that has generated a lot of heated debates in recent times.
Well, thank you for having me. Let's give a context to the conversation. First of all, Nigeria is a multi-faith and multicultural, diverse society. And so the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was framed in such a way that it incorporated all of this diversity and promotes this diversity in the course of governance and all of our political affairs. So, for example, after the Civil War in 1970, national objective was formulated. Part of the objectives of the National Development Plan of the federal government for the purpose of integrating everyone into the country is diversity, inclusiveness, sense of belonging, self-reliance, strong economy, egalitarian society. So these are the national objectives. Now, some of the concepts of these national objectives are incorporated into Chapter 2 of the Constitution. That is that derivative principles of state policy. In other words, irrespective of political party and irrespective of wherever you're coming from, once you are taking on the reins of government or governance in Nigeria, you must run the country in a manner that it will reflect the concept of this constitution. So a political party, for example, can have an objective, they can have a manifesto, they can have a plan. As a matter of fact, at the very core of the manifesto of almost about every political party in Nigeria is Chapter 2, the derivative principles of state policy, which is to have a strong country, a country that in the West Africa is strong and reliable, a country that incorporates diversity, a country that focuses on the human right, a country that incorporates diverse culture. All of these concepts are there in the fundamental objective and derivative principles of state policy. So most of these political parties, if not all, who have manifesto, what they've done is they fashion their manifesto in a manner that they reflect this concept that you find in the Constitution. There are certain concepts that are not expressly provided in the Constitution, but those concepts reflect the spirit of the Constitution. So for example, if you look at the zoning formula is not provided for expressly in the Constitution, but zoning typifies the spirit of the Constitution. Now, this is the background. And so if you look at Nigeria from 1960, you saw that the very foundation of the country after Nigeria got independent was to establish governance in a manner that will reflect this diversity. Now, over a period of time, there were presidents that distorted those plans, both in civilian time and in the military time. But from 1999, to the best of my knowledge, when President Obasanjo became the president of Nigeria after the military regime, Nigeria began to adjust itself, to be like a member of the Committee of Nations. And so we brought this idea as an institution that will stand the test of time, irrespective of political party differences or political party manifesto or idea. Now, so when you have a Christian presidential candidate, it is only natural that he picks a Muslim vice presidential candidate. We also look at South and North so that the sense of inclusiveness will be carried along in the course of governance. Unfortunately, because in 1993, which was in 1999 anyway, King Gibe and Abiola ran on that platform and they won, there are individuals who are now bringing that as an example or a precedent to say it does not really matter, it is about concept. What they failed to realize was that in 1992, Nigeria was eager to be delivered from the hands of military interregnum. And so anything but the military was an excitement, and something that everybody could accept. That's one. Two, there were no religious differences. The politicians then were not corrupt to a point where they wield religious sentiment as a concept they will use in divide and rule. So the society of Nigeria at the time was more of egalitarian society. You don't compare that now. The country is deeply divided along religious fault lines. You can see so many things that are happening. The politicians have used that as a card successfully over a period of time. Therefore, it is impracticable and it is a bad idea for a political party to carry the same ticket. Now, the second point is, and you rightly introduced that in your concept where you say some people are saying, rather than looking at that, look at competence. You see, what people fail to realize is that competence can be found in all tribes, in all religions, and competence can be found in all the cultures of Nigeria. So I'll give you an example. For example, you can come to Borno State, which is a state in the north, and a state in the northeast. You can in Borno State pick, for example, a Muslim who can be president, vice president, senate president, deputy senate president, speaker, deputy, and you can have the DGs or parastatals, you have the army chiefs. You can have all of these people in that state and they will be competent and they will run the government. But the question you must ask yourself is, does that reflect the spirit of the Constitution? And this is why I strongly believe that any political party that feels the same faith ticket at this critical time, no matter your permutation and calculation, you are taking a risk and you're likely to lose the election because of the diverse situation of Nigeria, the diversity, and the way we have the fault lines enlarged every day in our politics.
Thank you for bringing that into focus and a proper perspective. So, from what you've said, it does not reflect the spirit. A Muslim ticket or a faith-based ticket does not reflect the spirit of the Constitution, and it's also impracticable. And that we've seen, based on your comments, instances where this has been jettisoned in the course of Nigeria's checkered political history. And one question that has bothered a lot of Nigerians at this point in time is, who really has the say on the running mate's ticket, the presidential aspirants or their parties?
So this is it. The flag bearer is the one that has the sole discretion of choosing his running mate. But because the Electoral Act is clear about who sponsors the flag bearer, it is a political party that sponsors a candidate. Even when you challenge the victory of an aspirant or a candidate at the tribunal, part of what you need to prove is sponsorship, that the political party sponsored it. So it is the political party that is on the ticket on the day of election. That is why the two of them are inseparable. So the discretion lies with the flag bearer, but he does that in consultation with his party. Why? Because it is the party that will use its structure to campaign for him. It is the party that will mobilize the base to go and canvass for him. It is the party that will provide the funds, as it were. But in our politics today, it is usually the flag bearer. But the party, expectedly, and from the constitutional standpoint and the relevant law, the party is supposed to be the one to provide the funds. So you come and raise the funds through the party, and then you run for election. So in a nutshell, the flag bearer decides solely who is his running mate, but he does that in consultation with the party. And this is where the party played that role of advisory. So if, for example, a presidential flag bearer, having secured the ticket of the party, does his own analysis and comes to the conclusion that because of the dynamics of politics at the time, although he is a Muslim, like in the case of Asiwaju, who is from the south, southwest, and from the southern Nigeria, now needs to pick a running mate. But the running mate has to come from the north. And the north is largely dominated by the Muslims, arguably, more than the Christians. So he now thinks that taking a Muslim vice president will be good for his election to be able to deliver rather than a Christian candidate. So it behoves of the party now to say, our flag bearer, we're excited with the prospect of winning the election and with your idea. However, we are of the view that although we are out for winning, but we must choose unity over politics. We must look at the diversities in Nigeria. We must look at the constitution and its spirit. And we must make sure that in order to win this election, we carry everybody along, because everybody in Nigeria will be required to vote for the presidential candidate. So this is where the political party can help. Unfortunately, in our party, although nothing has been said, but it may seem that Asiwaju would have been comfortable if the North produced a Christian candidate for him. Unfortunately, the few governors in our party who, quote unquote, voted for him in the convention, or push for the power to be zoned to the South, because a number of them are interested parties, in my view, their sense of judgment is beclouded by their interests, that they fail to look at the very principle upon which they decided that it should go to the South, and they decided to turn their back from applying the same principles to say that even though he's picking a running mate from the North, he should be a Christian running mate. Because look at the analogy. They said party is supreme. It means whatever political party say, you have to abide by it. Right. And the chairman of the party, in the build-up to our primary, said he made a determination that the party will come up with a consensus. And he announced a particular fellow as a consensus candidate of the party. But these governors came together from the North and said, no, that's not equitable. That's not fair. It is not reflecting the spirit of the Constitution. We already have a Northerner who is completing two-term in office. He should go to the South. In other words, they turn their back from whatever is the principle of party is supreme to do what they believe is good for the national interest. So they are now confronted with, again, the same principle. So you have to apply this. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander. You will now come to the North. The North has never produced a minority Christian as a vice presidential candidate. And since the flag bearer is a Muslim from the southern part of Nigeria, you are expected to apply the same principle to say, even though it is not written, but we are committed to ensuring that we produce a Christian Northerner. And let me tell you why I am very passionate about this concept. I expressed that last week or so before I left Nigeria. Sir Ahmadu Bello was the founder of the Northernization philosophy and agenda. And Sir Ahmadu Bello commanded the respect of the British government because of the way he was able to compact the North into one in objective and in purpose. His philosophy lies in the notion that if you are from the North, it doesn't matter even if you're a Christian or a Muslim, your cultural difference or religious difference is not a matter as long as your origin is from the North. You have equal access to opportunities like the Muslims, and for the purposes of shared prosperity. So we move together or we die together. And that's why during his time, you could see in terms of education, welfare, and opportunities, he gave that opportunity to everybody irrespective of their religious background. He laid that as a foundation of the Northernization agenda. That means wherever the North is represented, look at the common prosperity of the North and the objective. Unfortunately, over a period of time, our own politicians, because of selfish reasons, have diluted and compromised this Northern philosophy to a point where now, when a common objective is to be achieved, they will rally everybody together to get that. When equal opportunity of access to the Nigerian dream comes, they separate between the Christian and the Muslim. So the Christian minority in the North suffer the same fate that the Igbos, for example, from the southern Nigeria complain. In fact, I make the case that they suffer even more, because when it comes to faith-based opportunities, some of the Christian leaders in the North would rather prefer that it be moved to the South so that it won't be said that there are Christians in the North. This is further dividing the North along different lines. And this is what Obasanjo, with the greatest respect, when he came on in 1999, discovered. When he started creating opportunities to Christian minorities from the Middle Belt, then suddenly there was an outcry that Obasanjo is forsaking the Muslims. So it was no longer about the North, it now became about the Muslims. And then Obasanjo made the case that you say you are one North, Now, this opportunity I'm giving to Northerners, and suddenly you divide yourself along religious lines. From that day till today, that is the problem that we'll continue to grapple with. My deepest disappointment is that we, the governing party, who are supposed to lead in this and show the path to unity, we are now deciding to choose politics over unity. And this is the part that disappoints me.
That's a pity. Now, let me seek your opinion on this. If Tinubu settles for a Muslim candidate for the reason of political expediency, what will the optics look like, considering the fact that picking a Muslim as a vice presidential running mate can create a toxic political environment in an election year, resentment in the hearts and minds of voters? You've actually touched on this earlier on, but could you help us get a clear perspective on that?
Sure, it will create even a deeper problem and deeper wound and divide in the polity. And let me give you this perspective, quite frankly. It is even a permutation that if he takes a Muslim northerner, he will win. It is not given. I will give you the analysis. Now, it is widely believed that the Northwest, of course, statistically proven, has the highest number of the voting population. So Asiwaju is asked to pick a Muslim vice presidential candidate from the Northwest, or that his choice of picking a Muslim vice presidential candidate is so he does not lose the votes of the Muslims in the North. So let me take you on the Northwest. And this is pure analysis. El Rufai, who is a governor.
If Tinubu picks a Christian candidate from the North, how will a Muslim North react to a Northern Christian VP? And what will the optics look like?
So the view is, my candidate believe that it is only a few politicians in the North who are making the case that he has to pick a Muslim vice presidential candidate. Because after an interview that I had last week, I had a lot of support from my Muslim brothers who feel that they think it is only wise and reasonable that Tinubu picks a Christian vice presidential candidate and not a Muslim vice presidential candidate for the purposes of integration, diversity, inclusiveness, and national unity. But I want to take those who believe that Tinubu has to take a Muslim to win. I want to take them on the strength of their argument. It is not given that if Tinubu picks a Muslim vice presidential candidate, he will win. It is not. The Northwest, which is the view of the majority in defense of the notion that he has to pick a Muslim candidate, is that the Northwest will not vote him if he picks a Muslim. So let me tell you, the Northwest, Rufai, who is the governor of APC, was on television last week or two, and he admitted in the interview that Kwankwaso factor is likely to affect 3 states in the Northwest. He said Kwankwaso is likely to win 3 Northwestern states. Now, and this is a strong person, in fact, the proponent of the argument that Tinubu should carry a Muslim ticket, admits that 3 states will lose it. That's one side. 2, so if you take the 3 states away, you have again another state, Sokoto, which Tambuwal must deliver for PDP. You've taken out 4. When you come to Jigawa, you see that Lamido of PDP has been concerned with the former governor, and they appear to have more influence than the incumbent governor who is from APC. You've taken that one out. If you go to KB, the way people migrate from our party to PDP in KB can only be likened to the migration from the borders of Mexico to Texas. People are migrating in their troops. So KB is also a question. The disagreement between the governor and the attorney general by the attorney general not securing the ticket is another deeper problem for our party. So give and take, if you look at this analysis, there are only 2 states we can convincingly say we do not have a problem, Kaduna and Katsina. But people even argue that Kaduna is like a barrack because the governor's policy plan and actions that is likely to hurt our election. He sacks teachers on the eve of election. And that will definitely have effect in the election. So you are now left with only Katsina. So you are trying to irk the Christian community by your decision because you don't want to lose the Northwest. You are not even guaranteed the Northwest in the first place. So if Tinubu, for example, should go in the direction of a Muslim ticket, this is the likely effect. the Christians all across Nigeria, and they have quite a number of voting population. You can make the case that the Southwest may not necessarily be swayed by this sentiment because the Southwest love to be identified by tribe rather than religion, and therefore they are likely to vote Tinubu. But those who go against, those who counter this argument will tell you that the recent uh, pulpit declaration by Christian leaders from the Southwest, who also are from the extraction of the Southwest, is suggestive that they take this matter so strongly. So when you look at Redeems, when you look at Living Faith, you look at Deeper Life and a number of them, they have expressed a strong opinion on the matter, meaning that if you take a Muslim ticket, they are likely to persuade their members to go a different direction. So, and if you run it around the country, it's a problem for us. If you go to Southeast, we are making strong effort to have an inroad in the Southeast because it is evident that the Southeast is trying to pose a resistance to Asiwaju's project. And that can be evident. You can see that evidently in our convention. There was something that came out as a result, although arguably, where people are arguing the authenticity of that. But if we are to go by that, what people call the result of the outcome of that convention, Tinubu only secured 5 votes in Enugu, but he couldn't secure any vote beyond 1 or 2 in the remaining eastern state. We need a lot of project there. And when you go Muslim ticket, that is likely going to provoke. If you go to the South, PDP has a vice presidential candidate from there. And South is the stronghold of PDP. So it is argued that we are likely not to harvest vote there. So Tinubu is left with the choice of the Northeast that he has a strong support for. He's going to slug it out in the North Central. And then in the Southwest, these same people, the Peter Obi factor, is likely to also demonstrate itself in Lagos because it is also reported that the Igbos constitute 35 or 38% of the voting population of Lagos. So if you look at it critically, there is no empirical evidence to suggest that a Muslim ticket will guarantee the vote. But there is evidence to prove that his campaign and bid is likely to be massively affected if he avoids a Christian as a vice presidential ticket. So even if you bring the case on the point of politics, you can still make a strong case not to talk about unity over politics.
But what about the Islamic clerics who have perhaps the greatest influence on the electoral choices of the masses of the people of the North, who have continued to tell their adherents if there is no Northern Muslim on the presidential ticket, then they won't follow that line. How much of that influence? How much of that does this Islamic clerics have? That?
Yeah, the Islamic clerics have a great deal of influence on the choice of voting in the North. Historically, it has been proven. But then you have to put it in context. You have to isolate every cleric against the weight of their evidence. For now, most of the clerics that are reported to have made those, because the videos are all over the places, are not the prominent and renowned Islamic clerics in the North. Meanwhile, it has been reported that the Sultan of Sokoto cautioned that all political parties must integrate a faith-based approach to this election, meaning that all political parties must balance the ticket. This is the head of the Muslims in the entirety of Nigeria by the principles of Islamic law, the Sultan of Sokoto. He has advised that political parties should balance, and evidently he must be speaking to APC. It is also reported that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is also a Muslim and Fulani, and from the Northwest, advised that the political party must seek to balance their ticket for the purposes of national unity. So if you rank certain statement by certain Muslim clerics and statement by certain Muslim leaders, then you can see that it is not a unanimous direction. And against the weight of evidence, you could see that in one breath, you have the Islamic leader saying that it should be balanced, and the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria saying it should be balanced. But on the other side, you have certain Islamic clerics who are saying that no, it has to be a Muslim ticket. But they are not unanimous even amongst themselves because there are others who have also cautioned against that. I am aware that the Islamic cleric in Abuja, who recently criticized the government for not taking strong action in fighting insecurity, also lent his voice to this subject and insisted that it has to be balanced. And in the coming days, you are going to get more of what people are saying, what the Islamic clerics, are saying regarding this ticket. So in a way, you can argue for and against. It is not unanimous. There are divergent views in respect of that. So even on the evidence of unity, you can see that a number of Muslims and Islamic clerics in the north are particularly concerned about the unity of and are encouraging political party participation that will encourage unity rather than politics of our unity. When you are not even sure on the evidence of politics that you will get the vote that you are scared of losing.
Considering the fact that historically the North has actually, is where we have the highest number of votes. And lately, we've seen a surge in the South, particularly the Southwest and the Southeast, witnessing some advocates driving the permanent voter cards registration. Do you feel that the South is ready to compete in terms of votes records during these forthcoming elections?
I think so. I think so. There has never been a strong awareness in the history of the country than this present time. You see musicians saying, you don't come to my concert if you don't have a PVC. You will see certain religious leaders from the South saying that for you to be able to come to church, you have to come with PVC. You see certain Nollywood actors saying that if you don't have a PVC, you are not my fan. So there is this movement in the South to get people to register so you can have a very strong voting population. The other argument you can make is that because the South appears to be the more developed part of the country, a place like Lagos is a melting pot. So when you make argument for Lagos, it is very arguable to assume that everybody in Lagos is a Southwesterner. There are certain individuals residing in Lagos who are not Southwesterner, but that campaign is strong. However, somebody argued a few days ago and said that the people driving this movement, majority of them have not hidden their interest in this movement, and that movement was built for Peter Obi. Now, Peter Obi is somebody that is generating traction lately, and a lot of people are talking about him because his participation in the platform over a period of 5, 6, 7 years has created very good persona for him and public image and perception. However, in Nigeria, politics is based on structure. Politics is physical. It's not like in America where you have electronic voting, you have mail-in vote and all of that. In Nigeria, if you do not have a structure on ground, when we talk about structure, we're talking about human beings in all the local government and the polling unit and ward who are going to vote for you and protect your vote, mobilize people, do all the logistical movement for you. If you don't have it, you are going to have a very strong perception in the social media, but the outcome may be different. And when that happens, then you see people saying they actually won and they were rigged out, because in Nigeria, there are two different worlds. There is a social media platform world and there is the rule world. And the vote that people are pushing for Peter Obi, for example, is likely going to either subtract from either of these major political parties. So for example, if you're a Southerner, if you're a candidate from the South, Peter Obi is depleting your vote. If you are a candidate from the North, like Atiku Abubakar, Kwankwaso will deplete your vote. That is why people hold the belief, and analytics have given their perspective on it. And they say there may not be a clear winner in the first ballot, that this is likely going to call for a rerun because of the dynamics that are playing out.
Now, finally, what is your take on the issue placeholder candidacy, the Tinubu Masari APC ticket? Doesn't that tend to show that perhaps Tinubu is tending towards picking a Muslim ticket?
For sure. I've always known that. First of all, I am privileged to know Asiwaju personally. I have personally campaigned for him, one of the leading campaigners for him against Osibanjo in the primaries. I know him in person. I have had a one-on-one meeting with him in his car, and he told me about his plans and the role he wants for me to play for him. So I have to give that respect to him and to give that honor to him. And when I express my opinion regarding this matter, I've had to talk with one or two people around him to give my own evidence. So that disclosure is very important that I bring to bear. But then the second one is that the placeholder, the reason why we had this placeholder arrangement was because Tinubu was battling with having to reconcile the two divergent views about who will be his vice presidential ticket. From the beginning, we've always known that Tinubu has settled for a Muslim northerner. And he thought that that wouldn't matter. But as the days come, as the days go by, he realized that Christians in the north, who are also active politicians in the party, felt a different view regarding the matter. And then, of course, hearing that the president is also saying he should balance the ticket, that became a concern to him. We didn't have much time. Time was approaching, so he had to send a placeholder. But I have said, and it bears repeating, the whole idea of the placeholder in APC is just to give time to see if Tinubu and other stakeholders will persuade the Christians, because it seems Tinubu's mind is made up on the Muslim ticket. That is what worries me about this project, because if we go in that direction, I can tell you that for free, PDP is waiting to pounce on it. In fact, on the evidence of that alone, you have given PDP a talking point throughout the campaign, without having to look at the manifesto of Asiwaju. Because the argument they will make is that they will say that in the life of every politician, it comes to a point where you have to make a decision. And if your first decision as a candidate is a wrong one, there is no guarantee that the remainder of your presidency will characterize by a right decision. So that's why I'm concerned that sense and reason should prevail, so that Tinubu will do what we believe to be the right thing. Sometimes you take a right decision that is not popular, and you'll be surprised at the end of the day. That is the decision that will lead you. Barack Obama did that in the US, and we have seen the results. So you can do it in Nigeria as well.
Barrister Daniel Bwala, we appreciate your insightful perspective on this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Do have a great day, sir.
Thank you.